What you are about to hear might just keep you up tonight. Welcome to Hauntcore Vault. I am the storyteller, and I'll help you fall asleep. If you are new, please subscribe to the channel. Let's dive in the vault. I haven't delivered since 2019, so I'll recollect what I can. I was taken to the southernmost end of the county, which seemed like a whole different country. Big houses, but not much lighting, and a lot of trees. Not much activity, though. If I didn't see cars parked here and there, I'd think I'm in woods. Of course, the GPS craps out, so I park my van trying to get my other phone to work. Suddenly, there is a knock on my window, which startled me, and then I look to my left, and there is this witch-like, ugly old white woman staring down my soul. Reluctantly, I rolled down the window, and she was asking if I had seen Jogger. It was a dog. Apparently, everyone in the world knows that he's a dog, because that's how she asked. I told her no, and she asked me to keep an eye out for it. I said okay, and she left. I hadn't rolled my window up yet, and about 30 seconds later, I hear this blood-curdling shriek. Scared me to my core, but I realized it was the same hag screaming Jogger. I am sure Jogger wasn't missing. Poor chap probably made a run for it from her. Who wouldn't? Another time, I was told to drive off in a Mercedes van, and as I'm halfway to my first stop, I realize the rear camera screen is dead. As I touch it to find some button, it just drops and now is dangling. I call the dispatcher and he basically tells me to carry on. I'll be fine. I said whatever. It's not like there are always cameras. I carry on with my route and avoid reversing much. If it takes more, it's their problem. Around 6:30 p.m., and it's dark now, and I am in some no-man's land. The house was at the end of the road, and I had no choice but to back up. It is pitch black. My headlights are the only lights. I back up at an angle, just waiting for some sound to tell me I have hit a wall. But instead, I feel like the van is about to fall. It is a weird feeling that I cannot describe, but it made me stop, and I got out of the van. The van was basically an inch from going off the road and down into oblivion. I don't know how deep the fall would be because it was so dark. I just stood there for a minute, thinking I could have died today delivering to assholes working for assholes who were serving the world's biggest asshole. Another time I went to deliver, and as soon as I reached 30 feet from the door, a dog comes flying out. I barely had time to register what kind of dog or how big. I just ran back to my van, throwing the package in the air at the house. I jump into the van from the open door and miss and hit my head and my foot in different places, but somehow make it in and shut the door. As I look at the house to see where the dog is, it is right where it was because it was leashed the whole fucking time. The homeowners clearly wanted to laugh, and I don't blame them. I felt real stupid. Last one. This is almost 8 p.m., and I am about 20 stops from freedom. I am in a sketchy neighborhood, which is highly unusual for the place I live in. Nevertheless, I am delivering to various spots on the same street, and I notice a bunch of guys looking at me. I decide to just not let them out of my sight and quickly finish up. But only a stop later, a few of them decide to come to my van. I quickly run through my options. I am not giving up my life or limbs for Bezos. He can suck a dick. And I am not trusting this bunch to come at me for advice on stock investment. So, roll down the window and yell, "Get the fuck out of my way or I'll run you over." And I just gun it. I didn't care if I did run them over, but I just hoped they'd get out of the way. And they did. Maybe overreaction, but I knew they were up to no good, and I was not taking any chances. I called the dispatcher and said I feel unsafe, and if they have a problem with that, they can deliver themselves. The rest of the stuff went back to Amazon, and I went home. So, it's snowing, and of course my car can't make it up the long residential street to the house at the very top of the hill. After several attempts, I had to walk about 2 blocks of the snowy road. Get to the large, normal-looking house. Ring bell. No answer, but I hear a guy yelling at someone inside. Knock, ring, no answer. Still yelling, but it's obvious he's yelling at someone on the phone. I can see that the door I'm at goes into a small mud room with a door to the house inside. I decide to step into the mud room and knock on the inner door. I know, not a good idea. This guy finally opens the door and is like, "What do you want?" I'm wearing a uniform and holding a pizza delivery bag. What the fuck do you think I want? Now, the guy was a middle-aged guy with a mustache, and he has blood coming from a cut on his eyebrow, a cut on his lip, and blood coming from his nose, and his knuckles are torn up. Great, dude just got in a fight, and lost? I see inside, and a half-empty bottle of Jack is chilling on the coffee table. So, pizza delivery. I didn't order a pizza, it's probably John's. Then the guy just turns and goes back into the living room and sits down to take another swig of Jack. "Is John here?" I ask. "He's upstairs." The guy points to a staircase just inside the door on the left. Okay, I guess I will go give the pizza to John, since drunk fighter isn't going to do shit besides get more drunk. I took 2, maybe 3, it's been years since this happened, up the steps, and thought, fuck this. I immediately backpedal, go out the front door, into the mudroom, leave the house, and walk back to my car. I didn't call John because at that point I was so pissed about getting stuck in the snow, walking uphill through the snow, waiting a while for the drunk asshole to answer the door, and getting sketched out. I figured if John wanted his damn pizza, he could call back or come pick it up. John never called to ask where his pizza was, and that made me more sketched out about the whole situation. I deliver from Marco's Pizza. I had a delivery one night and thought it would be just like any other delivery I've had in the past. I live in Georgia, so I usually deliver to rural areas. I was about to get off in an hour, and I got this delivery to this road that I knew was in a very wooded area. As soon as I get up to the house, the person's driveway was like 1/4 miles long, so I just drive up the driveway and park there. I get the food out of my car, a pen and the receipt, and start walking towards the front door. As I'm walking to the front door, a middle-aged skinny woman comes out from behind the house and says, "Hey, we're over here in the garage." Now that was the first red flag. I go to the lady's garage, but I just stand outside the doorway. I look inside the garage, and there are 2 overweight, old men sitting in recliner chairs in all camo clothing. I look at the walls, and there are at least 5 rebel flags hanging, 6 dead deer heads, and a Trump 2016 poster on the wall. I really freaking wish I was kidding. I'm transgender. I had been on testosterone for about 6-7 months at the time, so I looked very androgynous, but tried my best to present as male. The woman and 2 men kept calling me ma'am and miss. I think the scariest part was when one of the men asked me to come inside the garage. I politely declined and informed him that we weren't allowed to go inside the customer's house or garage. He ignored me, and soon all 3 of them were asking for me to go into their house. Again, I politely declined and gave them their pizza and told them the total. I think they ended up tipping me about $3, which isn't that bad really. Better than a stiff at least. Every time I pass by that road, I get the spooks.